Back, man.
Gifted Gab.
I got a smile on my face already, bro. Shit.
This has been a long process. We're here, episode 15.
All time, man. People were waiting. I had a lot of people come message me like, "Yo, when you guys come out with something?" I said, "Yo, patience is a virtue." So we're back.
Definitely one of those people.
We're back. We got a special guest today.
Very
Special guest, Blain from Enhanced Basketball Academy.
Appreciate you.
You got it nice and close to the mic.
Sorry,
Yeah, we gotta get cozy. You know?
Appreciate you guys having me out here. Excited about it.
It's a pleasure. You know, you're one of those guys within the Edmonton community that we feel like are making an impact, not only just with basketball, but just with affecting people's lives. And we kind of want to bring people on that are doing something within the community. So we kind of felt like it was perfect for you to come in here and, you know, sit down, talk with us, and get this ball rolling. So
We got a lot to talk about.
100%.
Sir.
A lot to talk about. So for those of you that don't know, Blain runs Enhanced Basketball Academy. A place where you can learn the fundamentals of the game, improve your game, right? Maybe you could tell us a little more.
Yeah, I've been doing this for 5 years now. Not only the fundamentals, but I do like to start there. I like to build like a solid foundation for a lot of players because I feel like a lot of players don't have that. They kind of just see, like we talked about earlier, they see the Instagram posts and they see all these cool things that players are doing, and they think that they that's what they should be doing when they train. But what they don't realize is that these players they've already done the basics and they've already perfected these fundamental components of the game, and that's why they're able to do some of the cool things on Instagram that you see. So for me as a developer, I like to just start with a base and a foundation and just build up from there. But it's obviously like a process, right? Like it takes time.
I like that word you used, developer, right? Because you have to develop constantly, especially in whatever you're doing with basketball, especially if you're not getting better, you're getting worse.
It's facts. It's a craft you consistently have to beat down on, and that's the only way you're gonna get better and see results. So yeah,
For sure, you know firsthand.
Yeah, no,
I
firsthand.
I seen you in the gym work. Like,
appreciate that, man. Thanks, appreciate that. So
it's constant. It's not like it's like I don't feel like getting up today to go work on my game, or I don't feel like getting up and going to work and feed my family. No, it's got to happen. Like regardless how you feel, like you got to go and do it. Because if you're not, then someone else is.
Exactly.
And that's the worst thing to having a kid that isn't motivated to do stuff. So you gotta, on top of training him, you gotta motivate him. Like that's got to be a tough situation. Have you ever been in that?
Yeah, lots of times. But that's part of the job, I think, because some of these kids think that they're working hard because they don't know any different. Right?
Yeah.
They don't know any different.
Yeah.
So you got to kind of, as a vet and someone that's been around and played at all levels, that's something that you got to kind of try to instill on these kids is like, you can't just come and work out. Like you got to outwork and dominate the workout. You can't just like come in and just half-ass things because it's not going to transfer into what you want it to be.
And it's usually the hardest workers that always feel like they're not working hard enough. Yeah. You know what I feel like? It's like, for me personally, I'm not saying I'm the hardest worker, but I'll do like a lot of things within the day, and I'll feel like I still haven't got enough done. You know what I'm saying? But you'll have on the other side of things, you'll have kids where it's like, oh, I'm working so hard, like why aren't I seeing results? I'm like,
it's not the way it works, big fella.
It's not the way it works, big fella.
You get a little guilt, like
yeah,
there's a guilt that kind of overcomes you because you feel like you're not doing enough.
It's what's it called, like hustler's guilt or something like that. It's an actual term for that.
Really?
It's an actual Google term. So.
It's difficult because how can you make a kid want for something?
I mean, you can. It's like that saying, you can only bring the horse to the water, right? You can't force a kid to want it. Like you can't want something more than the kid. But from a business standpoint, like if the parents are bringing the kids to train and get better, you got to still try and just do your job, right? You still got to come out and try to motivate them and try to get them to a level that they want to get to. So that's kind of, like you said, the tough part is that I want something for some kids and I want it more than them sometimes. So when it comes to training them, I'm a little bit more aggressive and assertive in how I do things. And some people like it, some people don't. And the ones that don't like it, those aren't the ones I want in the gym with me.
It's as simple as that. There's like a lot of trainers, that all of a sudden in the last 5 years just kind of just
came out of the scene out of nowhere. Yeah.
And all of them have different training styles. How do you separate yourself?
I think I know my identity. I know what it is. I know what was successful for me to play at all levels. And not that all kids play the same way that I do. I just know where you have to start, and the work ethic and the process involved to get to that level. So I think I don't get caught up in the gimmick stuff or like the cool videos. Like I don't get caught up in that because that's not my identity, right? My identity or our identity as Enhanced Basketball is to maintain, like I said, a basic, a solid foundation of the basics. And once you grasp those, then we can start doing the cool stuff. But like I said, I'm not into like, you know, the cool things you see, like the rip mats or the rip cones and like all that stuff. Like it might work for some people, but like that's not my style. That's not how I do things. Because talking to a lot of players and coaches that have either played at a high level or coached at a high level, and it just comes down to repetitions and work. You can't cheat the grind.
Yeah, the grind knows how much
facts.
you put in.
Yeah,
you cannot cheat the grind. That's really true. You know, how has social media kind of complicated things for trainers? Because I don't know, me and Andre, you can attest to this too. It used to just be you just go to the gym, and if there's something you wasn't good at,
We just hooped back in the
yeah.
day. You
Just
know,
play
I've been
against everybody.
Yeah, Gilbert Arenas even said he had something on his podcast where he was just like, listen, there's no such thing as like skill trainers or anything like that back in the day. We literally just go to the playground and hoop against older heads, and that's how we got better. But now we're coming into an age where we're gonna need trainers. We're gonna need to brush up on skill sets and so back to your question, like how has social media kind of affected that?
I think it's got this false perception of it's cheating the process. Like kids think that they can just work out half-ass and they're going to be able to do what an NBA player is able to do, or shoot shots that Steph Curry shoots from range. Without, you know what I mean? Without actually the process of starting close to the basket and work our way out. Like you didn't see that part of his game.
no, you never.
But
seen it.
I seen or I heard an interview the other day of I think it was All the Smoke. I don't know if you heard that podcast, but it's dope. And he was saying like people don't see the fact that my dad taught me that you got to start close to the basket, and once you get comfortable close to the basket, you can start to work your way out. I call it bridging the gap. So I do the same thing. I start in close. It's boring.
It's very boring, but
People don't like it, but I think I have a saying that if you can fall in love with the boring stuff that other people don't want to do, it's going to set you apart
100%.
from all the other players that don't want to do the boring stuff.
100%.
Yep.
Right? So
It's really like, I think, me personally, from what I see, I think we overcomplicate the process a lot.
100%.
You know, it's super simple. Like, you want to be a better shooter? Okay, just form shoot.
But it's so easy to overcomplicate it when you have all these, you know, external variables. You have these devices and gadgets and like, you know, there's like this one thing I see on the internet where it's like for your guide hand, there's like this strap that you put so it makes it straight. So like the whole time you're shooting, like it's straight. Like you have all these new techniques and stuff that are developed. So I think in a sense, like it complicates it for people. So it makes it harder to focus and start from ground zero and start on the basics. But it's tough, man. It's tough.
When I was a kid, I would see like, you know, the first thing I remember, the first move I saw someone do, I'm like, I need to add that in my game.
You watching Ad One mixtapes?
T-Mac hang dribble
I was
into the pull up.
I was watching Ad One mixtapes.
That's my go-to, man.
That's
Actually, that's the move you were doing in the gym the one time I came in. I was talking to you, the rocker
Rockers. Okay, yeah.
And I was like, yo, just emphasize it just a little bit more. Just dip into it a little bit more, because that's such a tough move to guard.
It is a tough move to guard,
right? Because it gets that defender kind of backing up, and then it's boom right into my shot.
That's just like, for us, it was as simple as like, you know, watching just basketball and seeing your favorite player do that shit.
But it's about what type of basketball are you watching? Because as a kid, I was watching And One mixtapes and all that. Skip to my Lou, air up there, like Professor, all those guys.
Shout out
know
Escalade.
I remember my rep coach back in the day. Our whole team was watching And One mixtapes, and like he got pissed off because we were always trying to do that in games. He's like, "Yo, I need you guys to stop watching that shit." Like he was actually livid. So
did you see the other day? Who was it? In a game, somebody did a slip and slide.
Come on, bro.
It was like 2 weeks ago.
Stop this,
it was
bro.
in like in
NBA. I need footage, bro. Like,
I gotta find footage.
We're gonna put it up there, bro. That's crazy.
I don't remember who it was. I'm like,
a man did a slip and slide. You're saying right now,
slip and slide
mid game with refs.
NBA
shot
game.
Clock. This is an NBA game.
Yes, it was by accident.
I'm trying to think of like who has that in their game, like
who has
in
it
the
in their
league.
bag to even. First of all, you gotta have the confidence to do that first. Second of all, you gotta know that if this fucks up, you probably will not be on the bench after. But like,
So you got to be some sort of like star.
Star, for sure.
Do you tell the kids you train that, at a certain point, you're not thinking about the things you're doing? It just kind of just comes.
It's intuition. It's instinct.
It is instinct, yeah. And that, like, a lot of the stuff, in order for it to transfer, like, you can't just go in and work on things on air all the time. Like, you have to have some sort of decision making. That's what I believe. So that's why, being a former player, like, I'm able to get in and like actually train these kids and work with them. So like, okay, if I do this, what are you gonna do? So I force them to, like you said, just think about the game. And then once they think about it, then eventually it should come as like second nature. It's like, okay, this defender does this, okay, I'm gonna do that. So you have like a go-to. If that go-to gets cut off, then I'm gonna do this. Mm-hmm. So yeah, like I talk about it. We mention it, but a lot of it I find is letting these kids know, so helping them with confidence, because a lot of kids don't have the confidence. It's just helping them like understand that, hey, you're a good player, or the work that you're putting in is paying off. I think that's a big part of it, and then helping them grow into like good human beings too. I think that's part of the process for me. Mm-hmm. Like it can't just be about basketball. Like I still talk to players that I worked with, 5 years ago, that are like little brothers to me. Like they call me, they text me if they have any advice. Like I'm always there. I'm trying to be there for them. And I think that's a part of the business that I didn't think from the get-go that I would be such a role model to some of these kids, but it's something I've embraced. It's something I really enjoy.
Mm-hmm. What are the plans with Enhance? Like how far you want to take this? Like Edmonton's already benefiting, I think, a lot from the basketball to come up here slowly. Where do you see it going?
Right now, I mean, I really just want to try to impact as many kids in the city as I can. I think I have a reputation of like working with a lot of females, which, after the passing of Kobe, God rest his soul, and his daughter and everybody in the crash, like I've kind of taken it upon myself to try to even affect the girls community even a little bit more. Because I think a lot of people train girls as though they're girls. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, no, like you can play. I've seen girls that can hoop and like crossover guys. Mm-hmm. So like I'm trying to just impact, I think, the girls' side a lot more right now. But eventually, like I don't want to just be a trainer. Like I want to be a business manager, a business owner, where I have other people that know how to do things the way I do things, and we're able to like branch out, to different parts of the city. And I don't always have to be in the gym with them. Mm.
Basically trying to replicate yourself.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly, 100%. And that's not easy.
It's not.
Because it's not just about the training. There's like loyalty aspect, the work ethic, and there's a lot of different components I look at when I'm bringing in someone. And I've tried to bring in other people before, and it didn't work out. But I think I'm on the right path right now because I know what I want and I know what I'm looking for. And I have an employee right now. His name's Javon. And this guy, so he was, I met him in the gym, and he was like, hey, I would love to be a part of this, if there's anything I can do. And it just so happened I was running a camp, so I invited him to the camp. And the last day of camp started at 9. I pull up at like 8:45, and he's walking out of the gym with a broom and a dustpan and a bunch of garbage, cleaning up the gym before camp starts. And I'm like, yo, that's the guy. I need this guy on my side. I need this guy on my team. Like, he knows what it is. Like, so now he's been working with us for about 2 months now, and it's been lovely, man. It's been great. It's been a breath of fresh air, to be honest.
Builds that culture.
100%.
Builds that culture. Yeah. What about the basketball culture in Edmonton? What do you think about it, and where do you think it's going?
I think more and more people are playing basketball. I wouldn't say that there's a lot of like really talented basketball players. I think with some of the people that are incorporated or associated with the game, some know what it takes to get to that level, and some don't. And that's kind of, I think, where I feel like I take onus in trying to help build that culture to let these
Bridge
kids
the
know.
gap.
Yeah, exactly. Bridge the gap, 100. Just to let these kids know that it takes more than just coming in the gym once or twice a week. And when you do step in the gym, like, this is how you have to work. Mm-hmm. You can't just like play off your name, because it's such a small community, and there's so many players that play basketball, not just in Edmonton. You can't just look at this city as like, okay, I'm dominating the city. Even if you're dominating, you gotta think like there's how many kids that are your size, your age, that are way more talented than you in Montreal, in Toronto, in Vancouver. So you gotta just continue to like always work and feel like someone's on your ass. Mm-hmm. Like, you got to feel those footsteps. Because if you feel those footsteps, then, like you said, you're going to want to get in the gym. And if you don't get in the gym, you're going to have that guilt.
Yeah.
Right? Because you're like, oh, Dre's working and I'm not. Like, I got to make sure that I got to, keep up with him. Because if he's getting, 500 shots up today, I just missed out on 500.
No, for 500 and like I like what you said there, because like when you kind of just box yourself in the city and say like, yeah, I'm the best in my city, it's like you get complacent. And the thing about basketball, and it's not even just basketball, any profession, anything you're trying to excel at, you never want to be the best guy or the smartest guy or the most talented guy in the room, because if that's the case, like how are you going to get any better?
You might tap out.
You might tap out. So it's crazy.
You said no. You go ahead.
Go ahead. I was gonna say with training and with Edmonton, like what are some of the biggest challenges that you see in terms of with kids, dealing with kids of all ages, even with girls as well too? What are some things that you see are common issues?
Common issues, I would say, just like I said before, not knowing what the process is like, not knowing how consistent you have to be to actually see results. Like, kids think that they're going to come in training with Enhance or whoever it is, and they're going to see results after a couple weeks. It doesn't work. Yeah.
Instant gratification.
Instant gratification, yeah.
Instant
And that's where the social media kind of messes people up. But I think that's a big challenge. Second is I feel like kids are playing way too many games and not training enough. I think that, don't get me wrong, I'm not against club basketball or teams in general, but I find as though a lot of the teams that, kids are playing on, there's a lot of focus or emphasis on games and in-game stuff, especially in a practice, that there's not enough time spent on skill development.
That's an interesting point that I did want to ask you about, because, when you look back on when we used to play, we didn't play as many games, but I can see I played a lot of pickup. And I was always playing pickup with older guys. You guys, obviously, same thing. Yeah. But I feel like when I'm looking, I don't see a lot of just pickup. Like, kids don't just go to the park and just say, let's go play.
But that's also because right now we're in Edmonton where it's minus 20 right now. So there's a difference. But I see what you're saying, though.
But even in the off season, though, like, there's not a lot of like pickup runs.
Yeah, it's different. It's the culture, though. Like what you're talking about before, it's the culture. But I don't know. Is that something that you've seen change? Because you were living in Edmonton. You're from Edmonton.
Yeah.
Went to UBC.
Yeah.
But even before that, like, what happened there?
Did you play at Nate for a bit?
I didn't. I coached at Nate.
Coached at Nate.
Yeah, first year on as a coach there, we won a national championship. So I don't know if there's any correlation, but I'm just just saying.
Subtle flex.
But I've been kind of all over the world, and that's kind of where my my knowledge is different than other people that are maybe doing skill development and whatnot. Like, I've had different experiences. Like, I lived in Arizona, right? Like, and I was in tough situations where I was sleeping on a lawn chair for like 5 nights because we got kicked out of our apartment. We got evicted. So that's how much I love basketball. Like, I was willing to sleep on a lawn chair just so I could, like, try to pursue my dream.
And that's something we talked about a couple of episodes ago. Like, how much
sacrifice
are you willing to
like,
go
how much
through?
is, like, what's the difference between taking it as a sign, like, okay, I should just stop, and going through necessary adversity? Because it's like a fine line, and not everyone realizes that, or not everyone can tell the difference between the two. And that's the problem, but you clearly did, so.
And yeah, I mean, and it makes you who you are, right? It makes you, like, either you're gonna battle through it and you're gonna come out on top at the end, and tougher and stronger for it, or you're not. At any point, I probably could have left and came back home, but I believed in myself and I believed in the situation, and I was like, hey, I'm gonna do what it takes. We were living off. There are 4 for $1. You got four burritos for $1, and 4-liter Tampico orange juice. I don't know if you guys know what Tampico orange juice is, but it's like Sunny D, but just way better. And that was pretty much like a steady diet for us every day. Damn. So it'd be like, between $2 to $5 a day is what we'd be spending on food, and we would be, whether it was hot, whether, like, we're in Arizona midsummer, it's like 130 degrees. We're on the playground, but it had like a canopy, so we had some shade, and we were still working on our game. We were playing. We were, whatever we could do, wherever we could go to play basketball, the neighboring community college, wherever we could go to play, that's where we were at.
That's the biggest thing right there. wherever you go to play, you were going to play.
And we walked. I walked in the desert to get to these places. We didn't have money. So I walked probably, I don't know, a couple miles to get to the community college. I stayed in this place called Star Ranch, and we walked to a place called Pima Community College. And it probably took us like 30 to 45 minutes to get there, but we knew what time the run was at, and we were there to play, which I can't speak on a lot of kids. They won't, like, if a camp is at this time or you know, in this location, they're like, well, I don't know how to get there. Like, what do you mean you don't know how to get there? There's public transportation.
Public transit. And like
that's the difference though too, is like, do you feel like the culture and the generation that we're in right now has gotten softer?
Yeah.
For sure?
Yeah, 100%.
Would you say softer or would you say more entitled?
Yeah, that's me. Yeah, I think they go hand in hand.
Yeah.
Because I remember 100%. Like, you know, after school, I would just skip fourth period to make it to the rec on time to get the first run.
Yeah, 100%.
And then after that run is over, you're going down the street to the church to play for another 3 hours. You're trying to play as much as you can.
But you know what it is though? It's like, for today's generation, I don't want to, don't get this wrong, I don't want to bash on kids this day and age, but I feel like in today's generation, like, if it's not as accessible as they want it to be, they're not going.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They're
but that's that adversity that we're talking about.
That's the adversity, yeah.
If that's your only adverse situation that you have to deal with, like...
Come on.
Right?
Come on, man. Yeah. Like, shit.
It's going to be tough for you, big fella.
100%, man. 100%.
Like, you got to just go. If you really want to play basketball, you're going to find a way to play.
But, you know, it's those same kids that are always looking on IG thinking, okay, why aren't I there? Like, this guy's ahead of me. Like, what am I doing wrong? The proof is in the pudding.
Yeah.
Like,
these guys aren't they're not just like born good. Like, they put in the work.
100%. And that's the thing. Like, Instagram and social media, you only see what they choose to tell you, choose to show you. So you're only seeing their highlights. You're only seeing the tip of the iceberg. 100%. You're not seeing everything below that.
This is coming from the guy that only posts fresh cuts.
Listen, man. Listen,
you only see what I show you.
You're not wrong, bro. It is what it is.
No,
come on.
That's some real shit. Like, you can't get caught up in that comparing. And I think a lot of kids do get caught up in comparing, like, maybe their achievements to others.
I wouldn't even say kids. I think
kids,
people just
people
in general.
Yeah.
Because of social media age, I feel like it's affected people in a lot of negative ways as well. Like, you know, there's more people with depression and anxiety because they see, like, you know, I see Alex over here grinding. He's living out what seems to be a dream because all I'm seeing is his highlight film, but I'm not seeing the fact that he had to sleep on a bench for 4 nights or he slept in a bus station. You know what I mean? Like, you're not seeing that side.
You're not seeing the stress either because he's balding and shit. He's got the, right. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's tough.
That's why he's sitting over there. You only get the one angle. You're getting his good side.
I'm talking shit, but yeah.
It's real shit because even, like, you know, me and Andre, we were talking about, you know, the whole podcasting. We had to go through a lot of bullshit just to, like, nonsense, get out an episode and get out. Like,
go to the studio 6-7 times just to get out 2 episodes. You know, there'd always be some type of complication. I'm like, damn, like, there'd be times I would think to myself, like, is this really worth it? Like, what am I doing right now? But at the end of the day, like, it's so I'm grateful for this opportunity. You know what I'm saying? Bring guys like you on, conversate with my guy here. So it's you know, I'm grateful for it. So
you guys are gonna look back like a couple years from now and be like, damn, you remember when we were in this place or that place and we only got 2 episodes out of, like, 7 times. Like, you're gonna look back at it and it's gonna be gratifying because you guys actually started with the basics, the ground up, the foundation. You guys built that foundation, and then you'll get to where you want to get to.
Thanks, appreciate that.
You said something about you know, the recent events of, you know, Kobe and the helicopter crash. How has that affected, you know, what you're doing in your day to day? Because it affected me big 100%.
Time. It was so much more than basketball. Like, it really hit home with me from not only, like, how I do things, but, like, just what I do with my family as well. Because I have 2 small boys, right? And I have a wife at home. So to hear that he took the same mentality that he had on the court and did that stuff at home, that's where, like, I needed to step my game up. Like, I was already, you know, I wake up at 5 a.m. damn near every day, and I go to do workouts, even though sometimes I don't want to. You know, sometimes, like, I could just, like, tell them because it's my own business. I can do what I want. But when it comes to, like, the stuff at home, it really forced me to take a step back and just appreciate things to the fullest and be more present and take all the passion I had for basketball and skill development and all that stuff and try to translate that into my home life. And like I said, it still affects me. Like I cried the other day. I was watching something. My friend actually just sent me this really cool interview by I think it's Bill Simmons. He did this thing, and it made me cry, man. Like I just broke down. It's like uncontrollable. But yeah, I just wanted to try to be as efficient with my time and with my family, and then with the basketball component, and just make sure that I'm getting the most out of my life and people feel my passion and that I'm leaving like a legacy of like I'm trying to do something in the right way. Same thing that he did. Like he might have not always had the best reputation, but I think his intent was always in the right place. Right? And you can see it like all over the world. People are devastated.
And as miserable as the situation has been, the light and the good side about it is it's almost in a way connected people.
For sure.
Through his death. You know, you see people not even just involved in basketball, but through all walks of life, grieving about him and connecting with him, which in a sense connects all of us. So like his Mamba mentality, it's something that kind of has been instilled in obviously you, like you're saying, but a lot of people. So it's amazing to see, honestly.
It's crazy that, you know, the passing of someone can bring the best out of so many people. Because I'm just looking at the NBA. Like the NBA's gotten way better. Like I don't know if you guys have noticed.
I've seen Lillard is going dumb,
right?
Like stupid. Zion had 31 last night.
Oh, the passion that these guys are playing with now.
Come on, man. It makes
crazy. It is, yeah. Like all these guys are on a tear, and it's like one guy. You know,
that just speaks to like his presence, his value that he had, bro. Like it's a shame, but yeah.
Like you were saying, I broke down like 3-4 times just off. Like you see the tributes and you see all the people speaking on him, and it's crazy how one person can affect
so many
your own life.
Yeah,
in such a a valuable way, because like you take the parents out of the picture. You know, some of these prolific athletes and people in these positions of power practically raise you, because a lot of the values you get are from these people you look up to, right? Or how you approach your craft and stuff like that. You know, LA lost Kobe, Nipsey Hussle. Like these guys are, the way they approach their craft was what's so honorable and just powerful, right? So Kobe's.
This is gonna sound weird, bro, but to me, it still feels like he's here.
Yeah,
I don't know if I'm the only way that feels that way.
No,
like
I feel that.
Like we're talking about his death, but it still feels like we're gonna leave this podcast and I'm gonna be able to Google him and he's gonna be alive or something like that. Just his presence is still like it's here. I don't know how that.
I feel what you're saying.
That.
I think the way I feel his presence is like, I feel like he's holding me accountable. It's like if I don't do this, it's like I'm letting him down.
Yeah.
That's how I feel it. It's like, well, if I don't go in the gym and I don't work my ass off, regardless of how I'm feeling, I'm letting him down.
Because it's not even just for you now; it's for another person.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and that's what I'm telling people that step in the gym with me. I'm like, look, don't waste my time. Don't waste your time. Don't waste your parents' time for driving you here. It's 6 a.m. You're gonna come in here and we're gonna dominate the workout. Otherwise, you're doing yourself a disservice. Right? Like I've kind of like cracked down a lot more on that to like hold these kids accountable, because I've kind of always had that mentality of like, you're not promised tomorrow, right? Like anything can happen, man. You can walk outside and something could fall on your head and you could be gone. You can get injured playing basketball or whatever. Like you're not guaranteed that next day. So try to make the most of the scenario, whatever you're dealing with, whatever you're going through, like try to make the most of it. And just embrace it.
Damn, I wasn't expecting this episode to be this deep, bro.
Yeah, I know, right?
Man's got a tear covered out just now, bro. It's crazy, man. But yeah, just appreciate life, man. Appreciate the situations you're in, what you're doing. We appreciate you. Yeah. Appreciate you, bro. You're like, come on, man. So I just gotta put that out there.
No, I appreciate you guys having me. I appreciate both you guys. I'm just gonna put out there, you're like one of my favorite players to watch on U of A.
Appreciate that, man.
You're just like the way you move. It's just like silky smooth. Like you never look like you're in
it never looks like he's trying.
No, it doesn't. It never looks like you're in a rush. Like you just always look like calm and collected, and that's a skill, man. That's dope to see.
Thanks a lot, man.
It just shows that you put a lot of time into your craft.
Yeah.
composure. That composure is different.
Yeah.
And that mid range is.
All right, man. You guys are gonna make me blush, bro. All right, so
Since we talking about basketball, who are your picks for the finals?
Oh, that's a good question. It's tough to go against the Raptors. However, I just think they're missing something. Like defensively, they're solid. I think it's going to be them and Milwaukee in the Eastern Finals, and I think Milwaukee's going to win in 6. I said it here first.
We got you on record.
all right, we got it.
I think that it's hard to rule out LeBron.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to. I'm not a fan of how they're playing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think that the Clippers have a little bit more grittiness to them than the Lakers do. That's just my opinion right now. So I think it's going to be like a gritty, like 7-game series, and I think the Clippers are going to win.
I think so too. I think just because they have Kawhi, man, if you put Kawhi on any team, they got a chance of winning. You know,
Right.
So I'm going with Clippers as well too. You heard it here first, or maybe for the 1,000th time, but I'm here to
Clippers, Bucks in the
reaffirm that.
final?
I'm going Clippers. I'm going Clippers Raptors.
Oh yeah, I thought
I'm going Clippers
that was the
Raptors.
case.
I might. I
Gotta
think
stay loyal.
You know what I'm
Go
saying?
with
Like,
Raptors again.
yeah,
Okay.
facts, bro.
we got it on record. I
Come
called the
on.
Raptors winning.
Okay,
You got it,
Raptors
you got
gonna win
Raptors.
the whole thing.
I'm talking about last year, but this year,
Oh,
Okay,
I think we'll get back to the finals.
are we winning though? That's the real question,
I
bro.
think we're losing 7.
We're losing 7.
Yeah,
You think it's going to 7 games?
yeah. Because I just think like the defensive schemes. Like here's the thing about the Raptors, we see so much like different like types of defenses with Nick Nurse. He throws out like the
He's a
traps.
genius.
You know, he sometimes it comes with the zones and like it's always something different depending on who they're playing. Whereas usually when you up until now when you watch the NBA, most teams just stick with the same thing, throw out the same 5. You know, but he really takes a different approach to each and every game, which I really, really like. So
I just think they're missing one like
they are missing
perennial all-star, just something to help them out. But yeah, I think it'll be a Raptors Clippers finals for sure.
I'm not. I like LeBron, but I'm not a fan of like the way they play. Like you were saying, you know, and they're missing. They need a ball handler.
To bash my guy LeBron there, bro. I was
He's
about
nice.
To, I
He's
was
a
about to
great
reach over
player.
this table right now, bro. Come on.
okay, but take this in. Envision this, LeBron. Instead of him dominating the ball so much and dribbling around the perimeter, imagine him like mid post, getting him the ball in the mid post, going to work on whoever it is, and once he's got a couple buckets, then they send a double. And what's one of his greatest attributes?
Passing.
Passing.
Yeah.
Now you're like picking apart teams.
That's why.
Like that's why I wish they would like get LeBron on the mid post. He could take it. He could either square him up,
Yeah.
give him a jab game, just one dribble middle, boom, power, shoulder to the chest, finish. Like keep it simple. But I think he wants to be a guard so bad.
Yeah, 100%.
I don't think he wants to be a guard. I just think like the team literally doesn't have anybody else to like facilitate.
He's been wanting to be a guard, bro. Every team he's been on, they've always had a credible point guard, but he's always stepped into that role. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I just,
Every single team, bro.
who's their next like ball handler? Rondo. Like Rondo's not bad.
Rondo,
bad,
KCP, Avery Bradley, like they got some decent
Ball
pieces.
handlers.
All you really need them to do is bring the ball up and then have like
Run a set or
Yeah.
something. Give
Dump it to LeBron.
Put it to AD or something.
yeah,
You know?
and then just mix it up. Just be like, hey, one time it'll be LeBron, next time it'll be AD, right? Like just mix it up. But like the fact that they lost to Houston the other day. I'm like, how are you guys losing to Houston? You're the biggest team in the league, and you're not utilizing
Yeah.
any of that size.
Yeah. Like they just lost Capella too. It's like, come on.
What do you think about that Houston experiment?
I can't like get behind Houston because I don't think that
That's
the 1-on-5 ball.
Yeah.
I don't think that works. Not in the playoffs. Like it looks cool in the regular season and stuff. And
It's nice for like numbers.
yeah,
You know,
exactly.
put
It's
up
very
some
nice for numbers for
It's
like
cute.
West. Yeah,
it's cute.
I can't get behind it.
Yeah. Well, we've seen D'Antoni go to a lot of places and
But D'Antoni places his main primary ball handlers in those positions. He did it with Nash too. You've seen it, so it's like
even
it
Kobe.
looks really good.
He ran Kobe's
Exactly.
Achilles into the ground.
It's like, yo, fuck, man.
it's
You
crazy.
know? Yeah.
And I was pissed. I was so mad at him. Like
For that?
I was so mad.
Really?
I was really pissed off at D'Antoni when
That
Kobe
happened?
tore his Achilles.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is D'Antoni's fault.
I almost think that was Kobe though. I think that was Kobe like wanting to play that much. because like I said, I'll send it to you guys. I watched this Bill Simmons. It's like a little short film. It's like 20 minutes, but he even said like based on how much of a leader Kobe was, like that was just him trying to lead his team, and he wanted to be on the court. Yeah. So, but and then just to like kind of branch off like go back to the whole LeBron in the mid post. Like you look at the two GOATs in the NBA, you look at Kobe and you look at MJ. Where did they become the most dominant in the latter parts of their career?
Free throw line down. Yeah,
and LeBron's way bigger and more like stronger than those guys were. So if I'm him, I would have been like, hey, let me hit up Olajuwon, let me hit up Kobe when he was here, let me hit up whoever it is, and let me work on my mid post like all season. Let me just add that to my game. But I don't feel like LeBron's added a lot to his game. Like he's always been the fastest, the strongest, the most athletic guy on the court, and he's always relied on that.
And that's the thing. Like as you get older within the league, you tend to move down a position. So when you're a 2, you go to a 3. When you're a 3, you go to a 4. You see it with Melo now too. He's relying a lot on the post game as well too. But I kind of agree with you on that sense. Like LeBron, I wouldn't say he hasn't added anything because there are some things I see like, okay, that's new. I haven't seen that. But to me, like when I look at LeBron, he doesn't have that like that wiggle. He does that wiggle, you know. So that's one thing I kind of want to see, but I probably won't. So,
and then you touched on Melo. Melo's my favorite
these
player.
Guys are,
the triple threat game, like his triple threat game is like unmatched.
Disgusting.
Unmatched. Underappreciated. Yeah, you better tell these kids.
Yeah, trust me, we do a lot of footwork jab series. Like I start a lot of my workouts with like reverse pivots, forward pivots, jab and goes, jab and cross. Like people don't see that because I'm not posting everything I'm doing on Instagram, right? So the basics, man, like fundamentals. You don't need 50 dribble moves to like get to the basket.
Not work. I want to touch upon this, man. Like, what are some things that you see within the training business before we leave? What are some things that you see in the training business that you look at and you're just like, come on, bro, you're making me look bad now because you call yourself a trainer. It's like, damn, you know what I'm saying? So I
would say gimmicks. So like good camera work. The toys and stuff that people tend to use in the videos. And then not understanding what transfers into a game. Like, I'll ask you, I'll bring this back onto you. Do you need to have, multiple dribble crossover moves or understanding how to, like, do a dead leg step, side step, to a pump fake, to a step through? Do you need to know all that?
If my coach will not allow me to do it, why am I doing it?
Exactly.
I think as trainers, especially, like, they have to be able to, and I'm pretty sure you do this, you study their game and you apply it to like the system that they're playing in. And when you do drills that they know are going to be able to do in their team, in their system. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly it, right? Like, how many times do you see someone in the university level or CIS or U Sport, whatever it's called now, take the ball and like do 60 breakdown moves.
Man,
I mean, the point guard has the ball in his hand.
Yeah.
If you're a wing player, you're getting it, and you're either going to be catching and shooting, catching ripping and goal, and then catch, rip, go, counter.
It's that 1 second advantage.
It's really
you can't give it up.
Just tell you, like 2-3 dribbles. That's all you need to get a bucket.
Yeah. Max.
The best players, some of them, Kobe never used to even dribble sometimes. Like straight up, But
that's the thing too. People are always watching the league. I don't think. Like you got people compare themselves to the most unrealistic players that they shouldn't be. You got 5'10" kids looking at Giannis Antetokounmpo, Steph Curry, LeBron James. I'm like, look at reasonable and realistic people that you could model your game after. Nash, Chris Paul, guys that are actually doing something and you could apply yourself to. But
I think you can still look at the greats, but it's like, what are you looking out for?
Well, not even.
What are you watching?
Well, definitely greats, but I'm saying like they're looking at the LeBrons and you know what I'm saying? The John Walls. I'm like, okay, what are you taking from him?
Yeah.
It's
a lot
tough.
of the kids, I think, I mean, you probably attest to this if you've seen any type of youth basketball. As soon as they catch the ball, what's the first thing they do?
Dribble.
They start dribbling.
Yeah.
Like you just wasted, like, you know how many times you can get to the basket just off like a simple jab? If you have an efficient jab, a jab and go or a jab and cross, you're going to shift your defender right then and there. And as soon as you do that, it's like it's game over. Now you're getting defenses to collapse. You can find people for open jumpers. You get into the hard, like.
Basketball's very simple.
It is.
We make it very complicated.
No, but people want the highlight plays on IG at the end of the day. They want to be featured on House of Highlights, Barstool Sport, all that. You know what I'm saying? So
It's the kids that understand that those highlight games and highlight films aren't the things that are really necessarily going to get you that next level look, right? It's being able to do things consistently, not like once in a while. Like anybody can have a highlight tape.
Oh,
anyone can make a highlight tape.
Yeah.
Just take all your best stuff and just be like, okay, this is my best stuff. I'm just put out there for people. But like, what happens when a coach is like, okay, send me game film. I want to see what happens when you miss a shot. How do you start slumping your shoulders? Do you get back on like, what are these little intangible things that we're looking for? Can you stop your defender or your offensive player, your matchup? Do you rebound? Right? Do you make the right read? Like those are.
How do you affect the game when you're not scoring?
Exactly. Yeah. 100%.
So it's like basketball.
Yeah.
You know,
it's a beautiful game, ain't it?
it is
the best.
I think it's the most beautiful game.
It is.
I think we all agree on that. We're a little biased, but
It's a lot of bias.
A lot of
bias.
Thanks. So,
What about you guys? Like, how do you guys see the culture in Edmonton? I know both you guys, are from the Toronto area where the culture of basketball is thriving, and that's probably the most dominant sport in Toronto. Like, how would you compare Toronto to Edmonton?
like for me growing up, there'd always be we talked about it before. There'd always be runs or somewhere to play. I think with Edmonton, I think it's just the level of talent and the opportunity to play are things that are barriers and the differences that I see. So I wouldn't say Edmonton's in a bad place because there's definitely guys that I know like they could hoop, but I think that just the access to gyms and people that care about basketball and wanting to get in the gym, wanting to get good runs, because I know you hold your own runs in the summertime. Yeah. I was there last one was really good. So just having things like more opportunities like that needs to be something that's instilled in Edmonton. Because when I go back home, there's always something. There's always something to do. But I think that's the thing that's missing.
Yeah, I agree. Same opportunity to play, and even you go back to Toronto right now, you're gonna see old heads still trying to play.
Yeah,
everybody just wants to play.
I'm one of them.
Yeah,
Summer runs, I'm still trying to pull out my rocker step.
It's just I agree. Like opportunity to play, and one thing I always used to say about here in Calgary especially is when guys go and do play in these places, not enough of them come back. Not enough of them come back and show the kids or the neighborhood they come from. Like, you guys can replicate this success. I can show you, because my neighborhood guys would go play, they would come back, hold camps, and it wasn't even like they're charging crazy fees. Like if you can't afford to pay, just come and show up. They want to give back, right? You're starting to do it now, but before, I feel like in the last 5 years there wasn't enough guys that were doing that.
Yeah, there are guys here that are doing that, but like you're saying, not enough.
Not enough, right?
Yeah.
Role models, right? So.
And they don't even necessarily have to have camps, but if they're coming back and just playing in the gym and
That's
inviting kids to come out, hey, I'm gonna be at this run. Do you want to come? And I get it sometimes, because sometimes the kids are like, nah, I don't want to come, or it's too hard, or whatever else. It's like, okay, well then I'm not gonna try and chase you down. I'm trying to give you a service here where I'm trying to help you get better. Some kids, they want it or they don't.
Some want it, some don't want it, man.
Well, on that note, Blain, it's been a pleasure having you on. I'm loving this discussion. I want to continue it further, but we're under a little bit of a time crunch. So, you have any final last thoughts?
It's all good, man. I appreciate you guys.
Appreciate you for coming, man. Enhanced Basketball Academy, you guys. You want to get right, hit Blain up. Enhanced Basketball on Instagram. Right? It's for the culture. It's just different.
It's just different, If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, as usual, email the getthegapod@gmail.com. We'll get back to you as soon as possible. So
we're back, baby.
We're back here, season 2.
Appreciate you coming.
Appreciate you guys.
And just like that, we're going.